Hello, this is the second recorded live meeting for Fairview Labs and the System Lean team. My name is Kevin Shores. I'm part of the Lean Six Sigma Black Belt team at the University of Minnesota Medical Center Fairview. I work primarily with lab services. My email address is on the slide in front of you if you have any questions after we complete our training on Introduction to 5S, Prep for Lab 5S. I would like to thank my colleagues at the University of Minnesota Medical Center Fairview, the Lean Six Sigma Black Belt team, and also the IDDL lab staff for these materials and the slides we're going to look at today. So our course learning objectives: upon completion of this course, learners should be able to define what the 5S's are and explain the process involved in implementing each step. So what are those 5S's? Sort, set in order, shine, standardize, sustain. So what you can see with the photographs that are going to be part of this presentation today, this was the actual 5S work when the Infectious Diagnostics Disease Laboratory was put together at UMMC less than a year ago. So it was the combining of virology and microbiology together. So sort, removing items that may create performance barriers. Things that you don't need them where they're located, getting in the way for your flow. And again, setting them in order. It's intentional creation of organization by eliminating those non-essential items. Do you have what you need where you need it when you need it, if you will? Shine, thoroughly clean equipment and tools in the work area. Really give it a good spit shine. Standardizing things, developing standards to enhance production and promote consistency. Standardization and standards are a key philosophy, if you will, in performance improvement in Lean and 5S, and getting that down to the work level on the benchtop is a big piece of this for the standardization. Sustain, install the discipline to sustain efforts going forward. This is arguably one of the hardest things to do when you're 5S'ing. Sustaining is very difficult. So 5S lays the foundation for future improvements. That issue of a clean workspace facilitates change. What does it feel like to you when you work in a clean space versus a less than clean one? The ability that problems really stand out and are addressed, where space is made available for more business, and product quality and safety are better in a well-maintained environment. Now, think about this. There are basically three different types of workplaces. Here's an example of the third class. People throw trash around and no one cleans it up. Then we go to a second class workplace where people throw trash around and someone else picks it up. And then the first class. No one throws trash around and everybody works to keep things clean. Interesting, isn't it? Which one would you want to work at? So the 5S principles are a means of improving the work environment. Each S designates a progression in implementation, and today we're going to examine each S in detail and actually begin implementation. So the first S, sort. If it is not necessary for the task at hand, it is in the way. That's a crucial concept that is probably going to be new for many team members. Things needed for the task must have a designated home, quantity, and a reorder point. That's also going to be new. So again, the tasks that are necessary, it doesn't matter which particular staff person is doing it, but we have consent on that. Anyone doing that work agrees this is necessary, and that standardization of where is its home, where is it kept, how much of it do we need to have on hand, and what is our mutually agreed upon and defined reorder point. So for sort, it's identify unneeded items and or move them to areas where they will be utilized. Because basically where they are now, they're in the way, they're not necessary. Now, for an example of a workflow to look at that 5S flow chart, let's start at the top left-hand corner, sort. Is the item necessary? let's go down. So the answer, if it's yes, then we straighten and shine, then we standardize and make visual, and we sustain. So we're doing more of our 5S work there if the item was necessary. Now, let's say the answer to that question is no, it is not necessary. Then ask the question, does the item have value? If it's no, all the way down on that process piece, it goes to the trash. If it does have value, next question, move it to temporary storage and then use in another location or dispose within 2 weeks. So it's saying the item has value, just not where it is currently, and to set it aside and ask those questions, where could it add value somewhere else, and then if not, it's going to be disposed of as well. So again, it's only keeping the necessary. Now the process to sort, the red tag event. What's nice about the red tags, they're a visual identifier that are used to determine necessity and the proper location for items. This allows items thought to not be needed, but to then be reviewed by others and have a discussion. This reminder point on the bottom of the slide, if it's not needed and not being used, it's just in the way. We get better with practice on that. So again, it's keeping what's necessary at hand. Now managing those red tags. Tags must be responded to quickly. Our goal is less than 1 week, and to give all shifts and potential users a chance to respond to the tags so they know what we're doing and they have an opportunity to come and look at what's been tagged. Now the other challenge also is to challenge yourself to look at the items very critical and answer those questions. Does this add value? Is it necessary? Is it located in the right place? And some thoughts on that too are, who are the responsible folks to look at the particular piece of equipment? How many days to give people to look at that and answer questions? And looking at that situation to say, do we keep it or not? Some folks are going to have a hard time with this. Others, it's going to be a little more challenging. So the second S, straighten. Organizing, arranging items so that they are easy to find and readily retrieved, a place for everything and everything in its place. So clearly marking and arranging everything so for the things that are needed, it's easy to find them and to get to the work. So here, what do we see? Look familiar. Is everything in its place? You can see members of the lab, the Lean Six Sigma Black Belt team, lab leadership, going through the process. 5S'ing is messy. Pull a lot of things out, ask a lot of questions, trying to determine what belongs where. So that bench top in the middle of that lab, is that what your typical workplace looks like? Is it easy to find things or things co-located in non-standardized locations? This is definitely an example of the work in progress. Now here, deciding a place for storage, setting up markings for a storage location, mark the items to be placed for storage, and ingenuity to make the maintenance easy. How to change what you see for that visual in front of you so it's standardized. How will you know if good organization is in place? Can anybody immediately see where, what, and how many, take them out, return them after use? So meaning anybody, even if it's a team member who's not familiar with the work that's done in this area, but those visual cues are there and they can quickly see, is something missing, or things where they need to be, is something out there. Now some storage space markings, some considerations to think about for the location markings. Shelf numbers or numbers for the floor storage spaces is a good idea. Where things are numbered as far as hospital rooms, car parking spaces, coin-operated lockers. We have those in other examples around the medical center. And knowing where the storage space is for a given object is key. How do we standardize the method we're going to use for numbering? They're easily remembered by everybody. An example could be the rows of shelves. The number is in the order of 1, 2, 3, beginning left to right. Then it might be ABC from top to bottom. So again, it's that group discussion, so it's standardized and very easy for people to remember. And the issue of item classification markings, the names or symbols of items that have been designated on a shelf or a floor that you want to mark. And the example to use on that, the full name of a hospital room the patient is posted on the door, or we actually used to do that more. The license number of a contracted parking space, etc. Just some examples to think. How do we want to classify those markings? And that issue of why is it important? You know, veteran operators, if you will, of that process, they're able to recognize items on the shelf merely by looking at the shape of the article. That's a nice visual cue. But that other piece about wanting to make a process change to say it's absolutely necessary to return the articles when they've been used back to those designated storage spaces. So again, visually you can see something is supposed to be here, it's missing. I know there's a critical tool for my work that's not there. So again, this term visual management, where is it? What is it? How many of it should be there? It's ready for retrieval, it's ready for return, that it goes back. So again, it still keeps talking about how do we mark for the objects, what is the method of marking we're going to use, and that issue of we standardize that. Now, in some areas, it might be desirable to use different colors to further color code products and materials. That's part of that discussion as well. But again, that high-level concept, everything has a place, and it's back in its place. So organization supports customer responsiveness. That issue of you've got a customer on the phone, there's a quick question. Can you visually quickly turn around and see you have what you need? So that example of that double X, double Y, double Z, you can visually see, yes, I have those materials that the customer is asking for. And it's a real benefit knowing where everything is stored, so it allows for that faster response time to customers, whether they're internal or external customers. The other thing to remember is defective items, on-hold items, test products, keeping them separate from your regular inventory for production items so it doesn't inadvertently get mixed up. Oftentimes, defects or rejects, use red-colored containers for that. Red means that one thing, that is a defect or reject, if you will, and then using other colors besides red for your other containers. Also, how do you want to ensure that you don't want to mix up test products with regular inventory? So again, those visual cues making it really easy to get good answers for the customer questions. And the other piece here, you can see organization supports visual management. If you look at that top shelf, that's correct. You look at the lower shelf, that looks correct. But look at that middle shelf. That product has been located in the wrong place. So that issue of everything in its place and being put back in the right place, really things to consider. In addition to where things are stored on shelves, thinking about floor surfaces, you can consider looking at having clear boundaries between the work area, the aisle, or where parts are supplied or stored. Looking at areas that are marked off as off-limit areas, etc., and how much space between the working table and machinery or equipment. So look at those boundaries and have discussion with the staff to look at that and see. The other issue is, you know, where do you locate parts? Where are they delivered? Where is the container that holds them, or the empty container that needs to be refilled? Where is that placed? Where is the storage? Where is their storage for work in process, etc.? Everything having that designated location, so it's very easy to find what you're looking for, but also that it's really easy to return the restock items, and as far as how to set those up. If you're using pallets or chutes, they want to be placed in designated positions as well. And if there's multiple components or parts, how are they going to be numbered or named? So again, it's just easy to identify those products and see. And here's another example on visual controls to enable immediate recognition of abnormalities. Where are things hung and supported? Makes it really easy to see that. So again, it's that issue of making things visually accessible to see, do I have what I need, where I need it? Is it there? When you designate those positions, you know the rough estimate of the item's position. Where should it be in relation to hand movement where you're using it, providing the appropriate distances to make it easily accessible for the actual end users to be using the supplies and equipment. So think about it. There's two choices in front of us here. Which bench would you rather be working off of? You can see the bench on the left. It's pretty busy. Would be hard to identify the home location for all those items. It would probably be very difficult to visually scan that to be able to see, do I have all the tools I need to do my work? And then contrast that to the example of the bench on the right side. Very organized, very tidy, much easier to find what you're looking for. So for some of our team members, this is a big philosophical change. So the third S, shine, cleaning up. And initially, you bet, a deep cleaning may be necessary. We tend to get dirty when we're 5S'ing an area with a lot of our shine work. Now the challenge here is that implement regular housekeeping so that any dirt or grease is immediately obvious. We don't want this to end up being spring cleaning, meaning every spring we have to do it all over again. That's actually a type of waste. So the personal items, the working environment, cleaning it all up so it's not untidy. We've removed the dirt, the oil, the clutter, etc. And why shine it? Ridding the workplace of the undesired debris, dirt, and dust. It's healthier and safer for us, the staff, also for our equipment, and let's be honest, it's a more pleasant environment to work in. What impression are we giving our customers? Those first impressions do make lasting impressions. What would the customer's first impression be of your facility, your area, your lab when they first walk in? Would it be good? Would it be bad? We make assumptions about a lot of things based on what we see on cleanliness. And then, are you feeling confident that you'll receive quality service? So how can our customers expect to receive a quality part from a facility that is dirty and disorganized? Would you want to have surgery in a dirty hospital? So again, it's those assumptions that we make when we're seeing things aren't kept clean and tidy. Now, in addition, it's not just the cleaning, but while we're taking the time to clean, we are really inspecting the equipment. It's not just the cleaning. Are there any faulty parts? Is anything broken or hidden? Is anything loose? Are something cracked? Is something in need of some lubrication levels readjusted and see? So it's more than just the cleaning. It's actually doing some preventative work as well. Those shine targets, looking at the storage areas, looking at the equipment, looking at the surroundings. There are shine objectives for each of those to look at and see. And then also thinking about safety, thinking about blind spots, thinking about access for different staff to be able to easily access the storage areas, the equipment, and the surroundings, making it a safe and clean environment. So the management of cleaning, it does need to be done on a regular basis. So how is it going to be scheduled? Determine what to clean, then assign specific individuals to task. What is it? Who's going to do it? What's the frequency? How do we rotate that? The necessary cleaning tools and supplies need to be available at the point of usage so that it's not, 4 rooms away in the third closet. That's going to be a hindrance to it getting done. Making it easy, keeping those products co-located where they need to be used. But again, that it's designated what has to be done, who needs to do it, what's the frequency. And then also designating that specific cleaning time. So it's not open to interpretation. It's very clearly defined. Another piece to look at, this is an example of the audit tool we use when we 5S'd an area. So 5S assessment score sheet. And it's a Likert scale going from 0 to 5. The higher the number, the higher the score. The 5 Likert score values are then pooled into 3 areas: good as 4 to 5, marginal as 2 to 3, poor as 0 to 1. So you can see there's the 5S plus 1 category, there are those 5 questions, and then the team doing the audit making that decision and assigning that 0 to 5 score, and then reviewing the results. So again, you can see on the top of the form the date of the audit, who were the auditors who did that, what was the area that was audited, and then going through all the different 5S areas on that, and a summary. It's very valuable and really making a process change so staff are used to seeing this, posting the results, discussing what the results mean, putting together appropriate action plans for improvement, and celebrating those successes, especially when we see sustainment. Because again, that truly is a big challenge what we're trying to do here. So what we're seeing here, here the first 3 S's have been completed, and now the facility is looking good, and now we're ready to start to look into the 4th S. So time for a little humor, The Far Side by Gary Larson. Now, that should clear up a few things around here. And bless his heart, the example of the character in the cartoon got a little carried away maybe, but it's very clearly labeled what things are, so there's no opportunity to misunderstand that. So it's important that we establish the first 3 S's before we progress into the next 2. So again, those first 3, the sorting, the set in order, the shining, need to get that done. That's really the dirty part of the work, if you will. The 4th S, standardize. Move on to all workplace areas, implement best practices throughout the workplace. Somewhat easy to say, hard to do. So it's that issue of really making this philosophical change that we want to spread this to the whole facility, or maybe starting on more of a smaller level, off one bench top, off one lab, to the department, to where the supply rooms are, as well as the actual production rooms or labs are as well. And that we're also involving everybody involved with it, that we communicate with all the staff, and that they know about what our procedures are, and that goals are established, and not only established, that they're monitored and the results are shared. So again, that 4th S means standardizing methods throughout the shop. So you can see this example, it's not just one area. That goal is to go across the whole organization. And what is it that's relevant? The marking for parts, the marking for storage areas, do there need to be floor markings, and to have it consistent throughout the facility. Also consistent for different shifts as well. It's not just something we do on day shift, or we only do this on weekends, if you will. It is consistent. And the ongoing audits in the workplace, looking for progress on clearing up the elimination of unnecessary items, the organizing the needed items are in the designated places, and again, the cleaning. Everything is so clean that the dirt is noticed immediately. It really jumps out at you that something is dirty. And for a lot of us in a lot of areas, that's a 180-degree change. That 5th S, the sustain. The 5S process needs maintenance. You sure want to celebrate the successes. You want to recognize those improvements. You want to set high standards, then test yourself and your team in your area for conformance. It's hard to do that. And oftentimes this is where things like throwing a pizza party, posting the results of these achievements in public areas, it's definitely something to celebrate. And as you evolve on this, you're setting your goals, you're monitoring them, and then you raise the bar where it's necessary or appropriate to look at that and see. But very much a big shout out to the team. Job well done. We're keeping it going. Communication boards are another key thing to consider for sustaining. You can set that up where anybody in the department or in a more public area, people can see what we're working on, how we're communicating the results of what we've done, what metrics are we tracking, what Kaizen events have we done that are driving behavior change? Now, the board should be maintained by the process owners involved with the work done in that area. This is a great idea, and it engages people to feel proud about the work they're doing and also to see where we've come, where we are, where we're going. Key thing with the communication board, too, if you're going to keep one posted, you want to keep it up to date. You don't want it to become really outdated where people start to think of it almost as wallpaper. That's certainly not what we're trying to move forward on. So those 5 S's, again, sort, straighten, shine, standardize, sustain. Questions that you might have. My email address is on the first slide that I had shared in this presentation. Please feel free to email me with any questions that you might have. Yeah,